You're listening to
Youth Ministry Answers.
From stuff you can use.
Stuff you can use.
Stuff you can use.org.
Welcome to Youth Ministry Answers. My name is Brooklyn.
And I am Damean, and this is the podcast where you ask the questions and we help you find the answers. And Brooklyn, we have a great question today. I am so excited to hear it. Are you ready to rock and roll?
Yes, I'm excited to hear from Kyle. Let's go.
Yes. So Kyle, what you got for us, brother?
Hey, Damean and Brooklyn. Question for you. How do you care well for the females in your youth group? I'm talking female youth leaders and female youth. I've been a youth pastor for the last 8 years, and I've been loving it. And there's been different seasons where I have a lot more men in my group than I do female youth, or even female youth leaders. And so I'm just wondering, do you have any tips or advice on how best to invite and encourage female youth to be a part of youth ministry or youth leaders? Because there's a bit of a balance, a bit of a fine line. You might have plan, protect, and there's different varying levels of comfort and professionalism with connecting with female youth or even female youth leaders. You're generally not supposed to be doing that alone. With plan to protect, also being a married man. Just trying to figure out, hey, what are appropriate boundaries and lines? And hey, do you have any tips or advice for a male youth pastor or for others out there in youth ministry who are really trying to care well for, the other half of your congregation? Because I do a great job of connecting with the guys, and sometimes I feel like caring for my female youth or female youth leaders is a little bit trickier. I love them and I care for them. I'm just trying to figure out what is the line, what is, I don't want to say appropriate, but caring for them in group settings, youth leader meetings. I'm just looking for ideas and tips on how best to care for the youth, to care for the female youth in our group. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day.
Yes, Kyle. Yes.
What
a self-aware youth pastor.
That was
He's
such a great question.
8 years in, and he's like, I want to care for the other half better.
Yeah. And I
appreciate it.
You can see like the hesitancy, like, I don't know I don't want to say that, but I love the awareness. And man, we're good. I think we have some great answers. We're bringing in somebody awesome to kind of navigate us through that answer a little bit. So
yeah, he said,
great question,
he
Kyle.
said something about, I don't know where to draw a line. I think we've always been taught to draw a line instead of like dig deeper. So I kind of want to like dig deeper instead of like creating a line of like a barrier. Like, let's dig deeper into a culture that can really care for your girls in your group. I think we know just the person to talk to. Her name is Sunny Brown. You're going to meet her now.
Let's go.
But thank you, Kyle, for this incredible question. And we're excited to talk about it.
Let's go.
Hey, everybody. We are so excited. Today, we have a special guest with us, Sunny Brown. And the class goes crazy. Not the pit bull sirens. What are you guys doing? Hello.
It's a party.
Welcome, everyone.
Sunny's in the house.
Welcome, everyone. We are so excited because today we have a special episode with Sunny Brown. And a question from Kyle, who wanted to know, how do you care well for the females in your youth group? And, we thought it would be great to hear from not only a female youth pastor, but also a teacher, an educator, an advocate. Sunny is somebody I've known for a little while. When we get together, fun things happen. We record videos, TikToks. We have a good time.
Dances.
Dancing. My dancing is
I want to get
real
in on a
bad.
dance. Can a brother get in on a dance one of these days?
Yes.
It's kind of like a Brooklyn and Sunny thing. I don't know.
I understand.
If you want to, like be a creative director on set, that would be
okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I can dig it.
You can be in charge, Damean. We just still want to be like the paid dancers. So
okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll run the show. Y'all get okay.
Okay. No, it's been fun working with Sunny Brown. She is incredible. PhD. She's got all the things, all the accolades. But really, what I love about her is her commitment to selling Girl Scout cookies with her children.
Oh,
The
my
way this
goodness.
woman schlepped Girl Scout cookies across the continental United States of America. She brought them with her. We were recording some
I brought
sign
them from
language
Georgia
videos.
to Florida.
Yes. Yes,
And
I
you were
record
slanging
sign
them
language.
across the
brought
state
strangers.
lines?
To strangers. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
you want Girl Scout cookies? I got them
Yeah.
for you.
And
So,
what's fun is that everyone here was like, "Do you have this kind? Do you have this kind?"
yes.
They were
Yes.
just the cookies were gone. So
Gone.
Sunny knows how to make movements happen. And I think if there's someone we
Bet.
could talk to about helping the culture of youth ministry be a little more inclusive and, a place where teenage girls can feel seen, valued, where they can feel safe. I think
Yeah.
she's somebody we could talk to and help us out. And I think Damean, you have some good things to add to this conversation as well. So I'm excited to talk with you, Sunny. How are you?
I'm doing good. Getting back into the swing of things. School is schooling and teachers are teachering. So it's a time.
No children are back in the classroom though. Are you just
Not
getting
yet.
ready?
Yeah, we're just getting ready and, all of the professional development. I encourage everybody, get with your local school, the school that's right next to your church. Get some toiletries, different things like that. Like those things really build up
Amen.
relationships. Yeah.
They do, and they help viruses go down.
Oh gosh.
We need all the help.
Yes.
I'm already taking notes on that, Sonny. My daughter starts high school, so I'm like, okay, how can I help? How can I help the teachers?
Yes.
Yeah, ask the teacher for their wish list. I just asked Sunny for hers. She has an Amazon wish list.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. Okay.
Okay, Damien's like, I'm calling my school right now.
I am.
Yes.
That's amazing. So we know, those of you who are listening, that you genuinely care about every student in your ministry and you want to help them grow spiritually. So we're going to just listen in to the conversation with Sunny. She has some ideas for how we can make youth ministries more inclusive, how a male youth pastor can invest in teenage girls in a positive and safe way. So what's the first piece of advice you have for us, Sunny?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I would say is be integral. Before we get to kind of some points that we can get to, I think being integral is very important. And what that looks like is we just never know where our kids are coming from, what their families have been like, what their experiences have been like. And I always like to think, what if I'm the first that they've ever met? So, for those male youth pastors, creating like that safe, integral space. And that looks like creating those boundaries where it's very understood, for effective ministry that they have to be safe. That means ensuring that all of our volunteers have had a background check. That's something that people sometimes forget about. Ensuring that that yours is kept up. That you're able to walk integrally in that. We can have really good intentions, but unfortunately, sometimes people don't, and they're very, always trying to kind of get into the youth ministry. So building like that safe space, I think, is really important, where a teenager is protected. They're protected because the leaders are consistently being trained and they're consistently looking to ensure that this is a safe haven for all young people, particularly those young women. And creating those healthy boundaries really looks like ensuring that you're not caught into any situation. I know some people have different insurances and things, but one thing I learned at the Y was they were very big on ensuring that we didn't take kids home. Sometimes we'd be teaching swim lessons and things like that, like by yourself. When you first start out, it's kind of like, why are we doing that? Until something happens and you realize, oh man, this kid maybe didn't feel safe, or maybe they felt pressured, or whatever the case. So it could easily turn into something else. So again, those go back to like creating those clear boundaries where it's like, it's not just me and you. You have a community that is here to support you, and I'll ensure that all of those community folks show up. Brooklyn and Damean, have you all had it where, it's like, oh, I got this one kid and they're late and it's right down the street? should I give him a ride? Like, how did you feel like you responded?
Yeah, I know we've had to have, like you said, those clear boundaries where it's even been like, that doesn't make sense. They're right there. Why don't you just go and do it? And it's just like, no, this is why. And you just have to have those conversations, and it becomes a thing where it's really culture setting, right? It's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
creating the culture, and you're setting the tone for that culture. And at the beginning, when you're first doing it, you do have to establish it. You do have to kind of, it feels like continually
Yeah.
reestablish until it's kind of ingrained that this is what we do, this is how we deal with these situations and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, those
Yeah,
clear
I've
boundaries.
had quite a journey with this, honestly.
Yeah,
I try to be honest as much as I can, but like,
Mhm.
if I'm being vulnerable, I would say sometimes when you say, I can't take you home because I want to make sure, like you're safe. I've had parents being like, well, they weren't safe waiting on someone.
Yeah.
Um, or what makes you unsafe? It almost like puts a
Yeah.
spotlight on you to people who aren't used to
Yeah.
organizations making safety a priority.
Yeah.
And I think for guys, I don't know, this is like kind of a double standard that's not quite fair, but I would say it has been easier as a female to take kids home because
Mhm.
parents tend to trust me like I'm not going to do anything and I'm not, but I mean like they see me like as a gentle like person,
Yeah.
but you can't ever put yourself in that one-on-one situation where it's your word against theirs because in every
yeah,
situation you should take the word of the kid even if
Yeah.
even if it's like elaborated, even if they are kind of like, making something up. It's
Yeah.
like we always talk about like listening to the child and listening to the teenager and making sure we're doing diligence to hear what they say. And if we're
Yeah.
doing that and we're integrous, like you were saying, Sunny, then we definitely wouldn't put ourselves in a situation where anything like that could happen, where it would be a kid's word against yours, because you want to
Yeah.
show them that you are listening to them, that you do believe them. And yeah, there was one moment where I said, I can't take you home. And the kid told the parent, I was like, I'll find a way home for you, but it would just be better if it were like, a couple of us or if your parents know what's
Mhm.
going on. And I will take you home if your parent's like on the phone. Like I've made like
Yeah.
exceptions just so that everyone knows what's up. But there was one kid once that went home and said, yeah, they're making sure like I don't get like murdered or molested or something. I don't know. They said something pretty strong and the
mm,
Mhm.
parent wasn't even thinking about that, but then the parent
Yeah.
was thinking about it. So, I think sometimes you just have to kind of take one for the team knowing that you are doing the right thing and the safe thing, even if a kid doesn't understand why.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or a parent is, like, new to the conversation of safety, they might think that you're kind of being irresponsible for not taking them home. But I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, it will all work out better if you do the diligent thing and make sure that everyone knows or there's another person that goes with you.
yeah,
Yeah, and when we talk about that integral piece, I was so glad. I really wanted to hear kind of your thoughts as well. But one of the things I always would do is at the beginning of every year, I would do like we did it kind of like a TED talk, where we would be like the church talk, and it was where we talked about that every year about, hey, these are the reasons why we don't do this. We go over the situations about not being one on one. With any teenager in the youth ministry and why. But then I also would follow it up with the truth of it is, I also don't want to create a space where this teenager feels like that I'm the only one that takes them to God. I think sometimes we see, people start to create these idols out of their leaders just because they don't know better. So part of that, as you mentioned, Damien, about creating the culture, it's also creating the culture of understanding that it is all of us. So instead of I'm going to meet with you one on one. No, me and someone else is going to meet with you, especially if, when it becomes male and female, yeah, I'm going to have somebody who has experienced life where you are, has experienced the things that can only be attributed to, you yourself. And I'm also here as support. So we are here to support you. And it helps so that kids don't attach to that one person. And God forbid you're called to Haiti to go live for the next 2 years. Now this student doesn't come to youth ministry anymore because their person is gone. So I start like kind of with the safety aspect and then go into how we're building a community of believers and a community of worship. And once we do that, we kind of are able to push from there. So that's like always like a big deal to me when
Yes.
it comes to that's
Love
my
that.
first one for sure.
Yes, well, create boundaries, I think, is so important. And I think when you create clear boundaries, Sunny, like you were saying, it also acknowledges that harm does happen in churches. And I think as a
Mm.
male leader, it may not be like top of mind to admit that because you don't want to even be connected to it. And I understand that.
Yes.
But acknowledging it creates a space where it's okay to talk about things that might be harmful. And
Yeah.
abuse does happen, and sadly, it happens in the church. And I think
Yeah.
for females to feel comfortable, and males too. I mean, this is a conversation for all of us. I
Yeah.
think it's important to name what those boundaries are, so that
Yes.
you're aware and you're telling people, I am very aware that this can happen, and I don't
Yeah.
want it to.
And I think that's the important part, Brooklyn. It's saying what the boundary is and why, because then that empowers the other young men in the youth ministry to also be aware and to also be like, hey, this probably isn't a great idea because of this, and being able to see the why instead of just saying no. I think a lot of us grew up with the yes and no and not the why. So we didn't really understand why we're doing a bunch of things. So instead of that, especially with this generation, they're so like intellectual. They're very much like explain it to me. And I think that just empowers them. It empowers them as young people and as a youth leader. It empowers us that even when I'm not around, the culture still stands. Even if they're not at youth ministry, if they're at the amusement park, the culture still stands. They're still caring for each other as we've taught them to do, as the Bible tells us to do, to look after our brother, to look after our sister, to be their keeper. So part of that, I think about, some of those scriptural examples, and I want to make sure that we're not just holding that information with us as leaders, but also that we are teaching it, that we're reproducing it. I always say you teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are. If you are integral, you are going to reproduce a youth ministry that is integral. And that starts with what Brooklyn said, with asking ourselves the hard question, like, I might not do this, but if somebody isn't like me, could it possibly turn into a situation?
I
Mm.
love that too. What you guys just said is so good because you're your first instinct is not to go there because you're like, that's not me. That's not what I do.
Yes,
So you don't even think about it. But to enter into that. And so it could be uncomfortable to enter into that space because it's like,
for
this
sure.
isn't even who I
Mhm.
am. So why would I? But I love the idea, like what you guys just said, of acknowledging that this could happen and
Yes.
we're doing something about it. Like that right there, because my mind was never like we need to set this up because it was never like that. But to have the idea and just say this happens, not here
Hmm.
though. Like
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, that's really good, really good.
Yeah. One thing I always use the analogy of an accident, and I'm always like, it's called an accident, not a purpose.
Mm.
Sometimes we think, oh, it couldn't happen, but it very well has a possibility of occurring, and it has even a higher possibility if we don't openly acknowledge and make sure that we understand why there's a clear boundary. I
That's
love
what I'm
that.
talking. This is get we cooking. We cooking with fish grease.
Fish
Or I,
grease.
we are cooking, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so that
Yeah.
first one is create clear boundaries. All right, Sonny, what's
Mhm.
number two?
Well, in that clear boundary aspect, I think we kind of started to talk about how we could do that. And that's those open door meeting policies, those multiple small group leaders in small groups. So it's not just one person, again, focusing on that one person. And then we didn't really touch on this, but Brooklyn kind of did when she was sharing her story, but that clear and consistent communication with parents. Like, I'm not texting your kid. I'm texting, we're talking in the group, or I'm talking to your parents, or there's some other type of platform where your where your parents can also see, you know, things of that nature, just really always involving. So there's no type of secrecy or, you know, a parent doesn't know that something is happening in that space. And then I always like to say that written SOP, oh my goodness, that safety and reporting procedure. So everybody knows what we're supposed to do next. Nobody has to guess. Those are really important boundaries that I think sometimes it's like, oh, I know we're supposed to do this. But when we have new people, they don't always know. You guys ever been there where it's like something happened and you know what to do, but the rest of the people that just got here have no idea? Uh, that happens sometimes. Yeah, and it's not safe. So ensuring that we have those particular boundaries as well, and then getting into, you know, that aspect. So I would like to say that, and then my second one would be reflecting on the entire audience. Um, I think I try to look at I was an athletic kid and I was a band nerd. Shout out to all the band nerds around the world. We love it. But my time was very stretched thin, particularly for that. So understanding like, okay, I can't build a youth ministry only based on athletes. I can't build a youth ministry that's only based on girls who cheer. Maybe there's some young ladies who are like Brooklyn and her family, and they're amazing at volleyball. You know, like I don't know anything about volleyball except Brooklyn. So I'm always like, yeah, go Brooklyn, right? So understanding like not really creating a space where, especially where I've seen this, I just happen to be into sports, but I see a lot of times youth leaders who are male leading from that sports aspect, and just not everybody's into sports, male or female. So understanding that and coming out like, okay, maybe I should show up at the school musical versus only showing up to the sports, or only building a program around sports, or only partnering with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Maybe I should find out where my local arts community is and partner with that. You know, would every student, when I'm using examples, does every student understand this story, this illustration, this visual? Does every student get this music that I'm using? Do they understand this video? I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get caught like trying to show like 90s like movie clips, and they're like, we
Mm-hmm.
don't understand.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm
How
like,
do
I
you
have
not
failed you.
understand? How do you not understand?
I don't understand.
It's like it's
I have
90s.
failed you. I
Yeah.
have failed you. So, you know, trying to get the youth ministry to expand beyond our own experience.
That's good.
And because if we don't, I'm just gonna attract young ladies
Mhm.
who like to play sports. I
Mhm.
won't, you know, I won't get the young ladies who are more into books or into science, things of that nature. So, but that goes back to as we're, especially as we're thinking from a male youth leader, I always like to say, I like to stab to my deficit. So whatever I'm not good at, I like to get experts in that. So
Mm.
I would look at it from that aspect. Because I'm a sports person, I have someone else who is an amazing volunteer who loves events. I have another volunteer who loves STEM. They love doing STEM. Somebody else is a volunteer who loves literacy. And when we all come together, every time we do something, there's a little bit of all of that. So there's
Mhm.
something for everyone. So I
Mm.
feel like that just with knowing your particular audience, and even more so than knowing your audience, expanding beyond your audience. Like if a
Mhm.
friend comes and they have never been, what do they feel like when they come in this space? Do they understand the story? Do they understand? Are we making Christ uh easily connected? Are we easily connecting Christ, or are we making it more difficult? Are we making it
Mhm.
only something for those people over there? And I never want to do that.
Yeah, I feel like we're speaking about blind spots. That's what I
Mhm.
feel like that's where we're circling. We're asking the question, and I think the heart of the question is, what can I do to like notice the things I tend to not notice? And asking these questions that you're mentioning are really helpful in noticing those
Yeah.
things. Like if you want to reflect your whole audience, you might want to talk to people who aren't necessarily in your circle all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
or get some feedback from people who you may not necessarily be like, or they might not be like you. And that is like beyond gender even. That's,
Yes.
Yeah.
culture and socioeconomic status. And
Yeah.
there's like a lot of different ways that you can learn from people who are different from you. And I think the more you do
Yeah.
that, the more inclusive you will be intuitively.
Yeah.
So I think these are great little tips, Sunny, to
Mhm.
kind of ask, are the girls seeing themselves reflected? There were so many times, and I still get this, especially now, in the season that we're in our world, where I'll be on stage, I'll be preaching, and a girl will come up to me and she will say, "You are the first woman I have ever seen like talk
Yeah.
about God, preach, teach,
Yeah.
communicate."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just see it's like it kind of shook their whole worldview because they had never
Yeah.
seen that before. And they begin to imagine something that they couldn't imagine before. So if you are a male in
Yeah.
ministry, you will
So powerful.
you will always be a male in ministry, and that's a good thing. But it's good to put females in positions and platforms and places and not just token ways, but to
Yeah.
empower so that girls can see themselves leading, girls can see themselves serving, girls
Yeah.
can see themselves like solving problems. There's so many ways you can do it. It doesn't just have to be in the position of speaking.
Yeah.
So I think that it is a beautiful piece of advice to reflect your whole audience by reflecting who do I give my time to, who do I
Mhm.
share my time with, like what kind of conversations do I have, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun to hang out with people who are like you, but you learn a lot when you kind of
You learn a
spread.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you kind of are leading into this third point
Yes.
about recruiting and empowering women. So
Mm-hmm.
fun fact, just a couple of weeks ago, I was at like our annual meeting, our Reformation, like our annual meeting. And probably about a week before, one of the administrators texted me and said, "Hey, um, can you send a picture? We want you to do a workshop." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then like the flyer came out and people started texting me and they're like, "We're so excited to hear you." And I was like, "Oh, they're really excited about a workshop." And so I realized I'm like one of the main speakers. And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, and so I remember responding and saying, "Hey," to our admin. I said, "Rodney, are we in, wait, this is youth church, right?" Because everybody knows I'd rather be in youth church. That's like a thing that I say all the time. And because we have snacks, like, come on, you can't beat it. And so, and
Amen.
so
Amen.
he says, "No, Bishop actually said you're on the main stage." And I said, "To adults? I don't want to be with them. I want to be with the kids." And so he was like, "No, you're the Women's Day speaker. I forgot to mention it to you. Just a heads up." So, we kind of laughed about it. It went amazing. But more importantly, I saw my pastor, who has walked with me for the last 12 years, be literally the first person supporting me.
Mm.
And my brother pastors were standing there while I was sharing the gospel, just supporting. They went before anybody else was clapping, they were clapping.
Mm-hmm,
Before
mm-hmm.
anybody else stood up, they stood up. And so it was important to me, afterwards, just hearing my pastor talk about how the word blessed him coming from me, but also the fact that he put me there,
Mm.
that he always does that. And I started to look, I don't know if you guys, one of the first things I look at is I look at when people are doing conferences and things, I look at the diversity of the speakers. I look,
Mm.
are there women that are being represented here? Are there people that look like me and don't look like me? Are there people who maybe have diverse abilities? Like, these are the people I want to hear the gospel from. I want to hear from, because if I'm called to go share it with everyone, I can't just listen to the person that looks like me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so as we start to kind of go through that, from Kyle's particular question, it's really important, like, not being the expert on everything. You don't have to be the one to handle every single thing, but to surround yourself with people that have just as much influence as you do, that we've been able to share. We've empowered them. We've co-taught with them. We've seen them lead and supported them and been the first one up, the first one clapping, the first one participating. That teaches our young people that, oh, someone who looks different from me. And yes, this is important to female, to our young people, but even more so to the males to see, oh, this person is a leader. And just like this person is a leader, and I can be a leader, and my friend who's different from me can be a leader. I think
Yeah.
sometimes we forget about that aspect. So that recruiting, and not just recruiting, but that empowering women, that's important. So when we go back to where we talk about like our examples of videos and stories, are they centering only one demographic? Or is it a group of people? I love getting up there and putting people that, maybe my kids have never seen. I love to do that. I love to, my favorite is when I show a video and it's someone signing and we have to read the captions at the bottom. I'm like, this is how people in the deaf community feel every day, and so just getting them starting that, because then it helps it become normalized. It's not something weird because this is something I encounter all the time. And that is what I feel like the church should do. We should be that place where we are empowering. So I do feel like one of the most important things a male youth pastor can do is that recruiting and empowering, that development, development of strong female leaders, and showing that women on the team are leading, that their experiences matter, their perspectives matter, their wisdoms matter, and they have credibility because we're standing with them and we're walking alongside of them. Making sure that they're visible, that they're not just in the back, that there's not only you that's up there on the main stage, just like my pastor did. He made sure everybody understood that in our Reformation, women can come up here and do this and lead and teach us something. Not only that, but being involved before that happens. Like, who planned it? Did you plan it only by yourself? Or did you have women who were also on the team who said, hey, this might be a good idea? So, fun fact, this is kind of like Brooklyn was saying about we're always really honest. I was watching the Athletes Unlimited softball league. They had their final, the World Series, the end all championship, and all I thought was, man, who picked these white pants for these ladies to wear in this uniform? And of course, nobody thinks about it, but I think about it every day because I coach young ladies who are growing up and they're hitting puberty. And white pants are not something an athlete wants to wear. It's just never something. But you wouldn't, if you don't know, you don't think about it. And so you're like, oh, wait. But that is why, I coach the team. That's one of the things my assistant coach, who's a male, he was like, I never thought about that, coach, until you said something. Because why would he? Why would he think about that? So, having that diversity of space and being able to think of those things, of course, we're not supposed to do ministry together, but we are supposed to build the super team. They're supposed to build a collaborative team that is going to be able to touch every single student, especially even the ones that are different than you are.
Yeah, that's really good.
I didn't even think about that either until you said it. I'm like, and
God
then it's
never
like,
think about it.
duh. It's like, duh. I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. You're right. You're
Well, I
right.
think it's worth mentioning that it doesn't require a theological decision about whether or not women can
That's
preach.
good.
I think it's valid to have a theological viewpoint, and whatever viewpoint you have, I think you can honor that. I think because if you go back all the way to the beginning of the Bible and you look at the created humanity and you look at how God made both male and female, then you can value both and empower both because God did that and called it good. So I think when you ask, are female leaders visible? are female leaders trusted? Are female leaders involved in decision making? Are female leaders having influence? We're not asking for you to change your theological viewpoints. We're asking you to change your
Yeah.
mind about the value
Yeah.
of women. And when you do that, it
There.
will change how you minister to young women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's everything. And it really will change it will empower you to be seen in a way that is trusted. And you will have influence that's safe, and you will have followers, girls in your ministry who come to you and ask you, important questions,
Yeah.
and because they know you've already done the work of like putting other
Yes.
people in their life and other voices, because you don't think your voice is the only important one.
Mm.
So,
Yes.
so I love this, Sunny.
Yeah, so good.
And if you're listening to this and you're like, yep, or I'm doing this, I just want to say thank you, because you have no idea. Like, I wouldn't be here on this podcast. I wouldn't be here in this position of following Jesus if it wasn't for a youth pastor who said, I want
Yeah.
you to hang out with Monica. I want you to get, she can tell you stuff I can't even tell you. I don't even know. Like, there's some stuff
Yeah.
that she knows that I can't know. And
That's
he would
good.
just constantly put us with Cherry, with Monica, I know their names because they weren't my youth pastor, but they were my youth pastors. And
Yeah.
it helped me envision a life following Jesus that I could not envision with just him alone. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Amen.
that's amazing. So I just want to recap, because I feel like we've hit on some good things and you've still got a couple good things to share. Creating clear boundaries, number 1. 2, reflecting your whole audience. And then 3, recruiting and empowering women. So those are 3 things you can begin to do if you're not already doing them. What else can a youth pastor do to include
So we
girls?
just talked about recruiting and empowering women, but also you've got to empower girls to lead. Oh my goodness. What a world that God has called us to be able to empower young people, to empower teenagers. And they shouldn't feel like they're only invited to view or observe our ministry. They should be empowered to participate and to serve. Just like you said, where you said, you know what? We really, Monica and Cherry were able to talk to me to get me to where a conversation with these young women helped get me to where I am today. And so, really talking about this specifically, teenage girls are more likely to feel welcomed and engaged and motivated um, when they see their peers that are also welcomed and engaged and motivated and in leadership. That they're being trusted to lead. They're trusted to lead the icebreaker, to lead the Bible study, to sit down in the small group and ask the small group questions. One of the things I like to do is when we use Grow, and so I love in those small group questions being able to have different people lead. So it's not the same person every week, but it starts to spread. And now I hear stories of them talking about those questions, out at their schools and different things. So yeah, we start to kind of experience it, with those small groups at events. We used to call it like a 5-minute blaze, where they would just share their testimony, for 5 minutes on Youth Sunday. How they join into worship teams. We were just talking about how we really start to struggle with having more and more young people when they don't see themselves alongside the adults, when they don't see themselves being able to lead in big church, showing them welcoming new students. We want kids to welcome kids. We want young people to welcome other young people. Yes, they can lead at prayer moments and giving feedback. One thing we did was we created a youth council. And so anytime we were going to plan a thing, because we kind of got to that mode where we were planning all of the things. And then, you hit that crux where it's like, okay, these are not fun. you, you guys thought it was going to be fun, but we actually don't want to play rock, paper, scissors anymore. Like, let's try something else. Here's a new game. So things like that, where you engage the young people. When they are engaged, they have ownership of it. They feel like, oh, this is something I'll invite my friends to because this is something I worked on with my youth leaders. And they help us, keep our finger on the pulse. I was just telling one of my teacher colleagues, I was like, man, I'm coming back with like 3 new phrases from this summer that weren't here last summer. And now I have to like work them into my conversation because my young people talk to me. So, it's not something that we don't have to wait until a student is 18 or graduates to lead. Like they can lead
It's
now.
good.
And we should empower that because when we empower it at our youth ministry, they carry that to school. They carry that to their sports teams. They carry that to Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. They carry that out there. And at the end, they'll say, my youth leader taught me how to stand up for what
Come
was
on.
righteous. If we don't do that, if we don't allow them to start here, they won't. It takes them longer to be able to learn those things. I don't know about you, but I always want the church to be the foundation. I want us to
Let's be the
be the
catalyst, huh?
first place. Yeah, I want to be
Yeah.
the first place that you learn to do these things. I'm gonna, for our students, I love to give them, something to read out loud to the church. And I'm going to jump up and shout and scream and clap for them so loud because I don't want the world to outclap me. Like,
Come
I
on.
want you to
That's
know, like,
good.
your youth leader, my youth leader was my biggest cheerleader. My whole youth team, they came, I sang
Shout 'em
one
down.
line.
Shout 'em down.
Yeah, they're like, I sang one line in that little Christmas play, and they were like, I'm a star.
I love it.
So I want to
Oh, I
give them
love
that.
that.
I want to give them that. I don't ever want somebody else to be louder than the body of Christ because I know that they deal with so much outside of that. So I feel like as a youth leader, being able to have not only women leaders, but also developing these girl leaders, it really shows up in their relationships, in their friendships. It shows up in how they show up everywhere. And it tells them, hey, you're trusted to lead here. You can lead anywhere. And
Come
I think
on. I
that
love
that's
that.
important for us to push to the next generation.
This conversation blesses me so much. I mean, I have a daughter that is about to be a freshman in high school, and
Yeah.
and she's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more shy. But I
Mhm.
can tell you that when there's been moments where she's been at church and her small group leader has spoken something into her life or empowered her in some kind of way, there's a
Yeah.
confidence that
Yeah.
that she carries that goes with her, and it blesses me so
Yeah.
much. I think what you're highlighting, Sonny, is the opportunity to be a voice for our kiddos, for young ladies, like amongst all the other voices. Because I know my daughter, she struggles with some
Yes.
confidence things and like
Yes.
self talk and different things like that. And so it's like to see this and like you're saying, celebrate, be like go
Yes.
crazy for the little things. Like I've
Yes.
witnessed that translate into shoulders out, like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I
Yeah.
can do it. And I'm like, that's my baby. She can do it, my baby.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it blesses me, like, because as you're speaking, I'm like, okay, I see some real, like, how it's translated real in my life. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. Blesses me.
Listen, I think that a few weeks ago, I went to my home church, first church I ever went to. They always invite me back every year to share for anniversary. And as I was sharing, I looked up and I saw this wonderful woman named Miss Kathy, who very early on, before I knew she was teaching me, just like you said, to stand up before a group of people and to speak without shaking. And that started off with me speaking while shaking. But she
Oh.
That got
kept
me a little
make she
emotional.
would make us she would make us
Wow.
she would make us get up every year and she would just have us. So when you talk about the confidence of the Lord, I think that I always understand that the confidence of the Lord is something that supernaturally strengthens me, even when I might be a
Mm,
little timid. And I feel like
mm,
that's the
Mhm.
responsibility of us as youth leaders.
Yeah.
It is our responsibility that our babies know salvation and who Christ
Mhm.
is. And learning that helps us to be so confident that we are just unshaken.
Mhm.
And in this world today, there's so many things that happen at school, around schools. You know, like you said, there's so many voices that can be heard. We want to ensure that they can really instill the voice of Holy Spirit and just
amen.
understand like, ooh, this confidence is something that is outer worldly. Can't be matched. Can't be matched. And so, you know, when we do that, you know, we see these young ladies and these young men who come out unbreakable. You know, they come out where they're just able to bounce back. And I think that that comes from having strong leadership that is diverse, that shows, you know, everybody has an opportunity to lead and live.
That's so good, Sunny. I am so grateful
Amen.
for you. And I know Damien and I, we talk offline, we at work, we talk about our kids, about what it's like to raise teenagers. And
Yeah.
it it's well,
Oh,
you know
man.
how important it is for someone to ask such a self-aware question is beautiful and powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for this question, and I'm grateful for the people who respect women, and and they do that not just in the ministry, but they do that in their lives, because
Yeah.
it says that you'll respect girls, when you respect women, and I think it goes like both ways. Obviously, we could have this conversation on the flip side, and talk about what that looks like. So I'm just really glad that we're able to have this chat. It matters a lot. And we want to build, youth ministries where every student can flourish. Um, so we do it by creating healthy boundaries, inviting diverse voices, trusting great female leaders, and empowering girls to lead. I think those were the four
Yeah.
things you mentioned.
Yep.
And girls simply aren't attending anymore. They're being transformed and empowered. They're safe, they belong, they're growing, they're contributing, they're leading, and that's all of that is so good. So thanks for
Amen.
being with us, Sunny.
Thank you, Sonny.
Love you. Thank you, Sunny. And I hope you have a great year with your
Bye,
students.
Sonny.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
What'd you think, Damien, of that chat?
I thought it was such a good chat, such a good, relevant way to, as you said earlier, dig deeper and really get into a culture that creates space for girls, creates space for women, and how seeing that can really snowball into ladies feeling comfortable in a ministry, seeing leadership. It was so good. You ladies, y'all blessed the brother. I will say you blessed me. So it was good. It was good.
Well, I can't go without thanking Kyle for asking a great question. The show
Yeah.
wouldn't exist unless people like Kyle and others who've been on the show were brave enough to just ask a question like, what do you think about this? Or how can we grow? How can we do better? And I love that self-awareness, that there's an
Yeah.
area I could grow in. So thank you,
Yeah.
Kyle, for your question. Thank you, Sunny, for your leadership.
Thank you
And
guys.
and Damien, it was so fun talking to you today about this.
Yeah. It's good
Yeah, I
times.
learned a lot. Well,
Yeah.
it's our tradition before we sign off, we talk about what we're into.
What are we into?
We're at the end of July. I'm very curious if you're still running and jumping in the ocean at 5 a.m.
I am
What are you
actually. I
into? What are
am.
you into?
I am still running and jumping in the ocean on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So yep, it's pretty awesome. It's been a lot of fun, and the water was actually really warm yesterday. It was really warm.
What do you think is really warm? Like what temperature?
I don't know really. It just felt it felt like 60s. I don't like 65. I mean, I was like, "Oh, this is not cold." So, yeah,
Wow.
it felt good.
That's nice.
So I'm still doing that, but I'm super into right now my kiddos, my two youngest. I have a junior who's going back to high school and a freshman who's starting high school. And I am into my son's fashion. And here's the thing, Brooklyn. I
Like
have
you wear
always
what you steal stuff from his room?
No. I'm so interested. I'm so interested in what they are wearing right now. Because jean
Yes.
shorts are back in. So they're wearing jean
Jorts?
shorts. Yeah, jorts are back in after they clowned me. Because I was like, years ago, I'm wearing jorts. And they were like, Dad, you're
Well,
wearing
because
jorts. What the heck?
that,
Right?
yeah, that's like,
Comes with the territory. But
Mhm.
here's what's crazy, Brooklyn. Here's what's crazy that
What?
I can't wrap my mind around. They have that their jean shorts are bedazzled. Like they got they like they got
Don't you
jewels.
bedazzle shame anybody. Don't
I'm
you
not
bedazzle
bedazzled
shame.
shit. I'm just trying to understand a whole pant leg is
Mhm.
bedazzled, and it's just they walking
Mhm.
around and shimmering, walking and shimmering, and I just
Yeah,
it's
the girls here because I'm on the East Coast where the water is warmer. That's why I'm like, all right, what temperature do you think is warm? But yeah, there's grommets showing up on things, metal, silver. And I'm
yeah.
like, wait, didn't we just send silver to a place and decide we were banishing it? Now it's back. It's like, oh, I just got all the gold stuff. Dang it. But
I
it's
just
fine. It's
got
fine. Everything's fine.
everything's
But like,
it's fine,
no,
it's fine, everything's fine.
no, it's in the low rise that, we talked about women today on the podcast, and it's like, it was nice having a good decade of high rise jeans because it's just more comfortable. You can eat a meal and not feel like you have to like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now we're back to this low rise situation where I'm like, you're not going to like this, but I'm not going
Yeah.
to tell you. Everyone has to take their turn with fashion.
Gotta let you live your life. Yep.
So let them bedazzle. Let the big idea, let them bedazzle.
Let them bedazzle.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
what are
you're
you
into
into?
studying
That's what
bedazzled jeans.
I'm trying to
Cool.
understand it. I'm trying to understand it. I am.
I
So
know. I
what are you
know.
into? What
I
are you into,
know.
Brooklyn?
Well, I watch Widow's Bay with my husband. Apple
Was it
TV gave
good?
us. It's so funny, but scary,
Okay.
but good.
Oh, okay. I want to
I
check it
loved
out.
Widow's Bay. It's over this episode, but Ted Lasso is coming out next week, the third
Oh,
season. And
I can't wait for that.
I'm excited about it. College football is just around the corner, so I'm just kind of thinking about that. I was trying to think about how I could get two tickets to the Ohio State Texas game that's going to be coming up because they're going to be playing at Texas, and my husband doesn't want to go to Ohio to the game. It's too cold for him. He doesn't like to go in the cold. And even though we're from Ohio and we love Ohio State, he just doesn't want to go there for a game. And I'm like, well, let's go when they're away somewhere. And he mentioned
Texas.
Texas, and I'm like, that is so hard to get a ticket. That's going to be like, I'm going to have to pray and fast and work some sort of deal. I don't know. So anybody listening, that's my hope and dream for this fall, that we end up, Texas is tough though. Like we'd be going in there. Whew. Anyway.
As Buckeyes, you're going in there as Buckeyes.
No. So when we got these youth ministry jobs in Texas when I was like in my early 20s, and we were Ohio State fans, and we thought we'll just go to Applebee's or wherever, Chipotle, I don't know where we were with TVs, and we will cheer for Ohio State. No, you do not. In Texas, they don't play hook 'em horns. I was scared. So I don't know. I don't know if this dream is a good idea, but I kind of want to take him to an Ohio State game so he can see one. He's never been to a singular Ohio State game. So that's what I'm into.
Would you
I'm going to
wear
research.
your Ohio gear? Would you
I
wear?
think you have to. You cannot. I mean, my daughter, if we took her, she was born in Grapevine, Texas. So she would be, if she wanted to be a Texan, dropping stuff. If she wanted to be a Texan, she could be, because she is. But like, I couldn't. Like, I think something would happen to me. Lightning would strike or something if I tried to be anything but a Buckeye,
Yep,
Okay.
I see. I get it.
Well, but I got to respect everyone and listen to everyone and learn from everyone, like we just said. So hook 'em horns, go Buckeyes.
Hook 'em horns and bedazzle.
Whatever.
Let them bedazzle.
Let
Hook
them
'em horns and let
bedazzle.
them bedazzle.
That's the big idea today. Friends,
what
if
we're
you have
into.
questions, we need them. We want them. We would love to hear them. YMA.show is where you can submit your questions, just like Kyle did. And if you need anything at all when it comes to youth ministry, we've got a whole strategy for you at growcurriculum.org. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye, family.
Bye.